My name is Mary Coyle. I am the manager here of Untitled Chapter in Dore. The committee here in Untitled Chapter came together around 1996, maybe a year or two after that we decided. Three of us took part in a course through the university in Galway in conjunction with Untitled, and that course was community development. Each one of us had a project. The centre here was my project. The other two, they focused on a book about the history of Dore, and the other was the walkways that are now established and part of the centre here. As part of that course, I suppose I did have a mentor, and we had to survey the local community to find out exactly what the community wanted. So it meant that I went to every house in the locality, and we had a comprehensive survey put together and asked about what they needed in the area, and in particular their likes and dislikes of what was happening in their community. That was a very valuable document. It was launched in 1999, and one of the prime projects that came out of that was that the community wanted a community centre here in Dore. With that document in hand, we started really to meet with potential funders. The biggest funder being the International Fund for Ireland. So we had met with Paddy Hart from International Fund for Ireland, and out of that meeting came our first piece of funding, which was 399,000. After that, I suppose, once one organisation commits, it's pretty easy then. Before long, we had a cocktail of funding made up from Untitled and Roinn Culture Eire Gaeltachta, as it is called now, and at that time MFG. So the first phase was €835,000, in which the local community had to gather 125,000. So we did everything from coffee mornings to fashion shows to an art auction, and maybe the best fundraiser that we did was we tied in with our diaspora in Scotland, and we put together a package of visiting Glasgow Celtic in Scotland, in Glasgow, and we had tickets for the football, and then we had a dance in Glasgow Celtic Centre itself. That was one of the biggest fundraisers that we had. All of our families and their families who had immigrated to Scotland came and supported us in any way that they could. That way we had left Scotland that night with 35,000 sterling for the centre here. So within a year we had the 125,000 paid, and it was community owned. Then I gave up my lovely 9-to-3 job in a school and decided that my heart was here in Untitled Chapter, and that I would take up the manager's position. I was only in the centre for about 6 months when we quickly realised that the centre was too small. So we came together again and put some plans into action again for phase 2 of the centre. Again, the building cost, the second phase was pretty much the same size as the first phase, and it was costing 800,000, and we had to gather 160,000 ourselves. I think this time the funder being an Run Coulter Eirath Skeltart, who had given us the least funding for phase 1, and we had met with the Minister of the Gaeltacht at the time, and we came out of that meeting with 75% funding for phase 2. Phase 1, I think one of the highlights of phase 1 was that during a meeting while we were completing the building, we had decided that we would ask the President to come to Dore to launch the first phase, and much to her surprise, she could see something very valuable in our committee, and wrote back and told us that she would be with us within 3 weeks. So that was major. That was such a big thing for the area and for our community, that the President had come down and that she was officially opening the centre for us. So I suppose that made it a lot easier than when we were going for phase 2. It was very important for us to let the community know from the onset that the building belonged to the community, that we were just here to look after it, and we still have that same understanding from the word go. The people are in and out of here all the time. We have an open door policy. Everybody comes and goes as they pleases. We have so many voluntary people that come in and help us in so many aspects of the centre, and without them we would never be able to manage. It is part of our policy as well that when any member of the community walks in the door, that we stop what we're doing and we pay attention to the community, because if it weren't for the community, we wouldn't be here. So I suppose we cater for anybody from babies right through to the elderly. We run a parent and toddler group. We run so many activities for primary school children. We have 2 youth clubs. We have a younger club for children of 4 to 6 years, and then we have another club for children 6 to 12 years. We also have a breakfast club and an after-school club where children get to come and when their parents are going to work early in the morning, and they're given their breakfast and got ready for school, and then afterwards, after school, they will get their dinner, they will get the help that they need with their homework, and then a bit of leisure time before they go home. We also run any classes to do with music, anything to do with music, anything to do with grinds, or anything that young people would need when their exams are coming up. We've also, with the help of leader funding, bought all the equipment we need to start up a gymnastic club here in Dore. That was one of the most activity that was requested from the community. As well, we run all sorts of courses, any upskilling courses that the community will need. What we do is we advertise whatever the community needs. If they want a healthcare course, a childcare course, any sort of course, and if we get enough people, we will run with that. We also have a women's shed. We have a community garden, and we also have a club for the elderly, the over 50s. I suppose we just cover everything that we can, anything to do with IT, anything to do with health and well-being. We tend to run anything that the community needs. How we find that out is really that maybe every three years that we will sit down and we will put a plan together. So maybe when we started up in the beginning, we had a plan, and part of the plan was to build phase 1 and phase 2 of the centre. And then in 2012, we put 2 plans together. One was a development plan for the centre here, and the other then was a plan to try and promote the Irish language. So with those 2 plans, we spoke to the community. We had groups in that we sat and did a bit of brainstorming, tried to find out exactly what the community needed. Those plans were launched, and we worked on those plans to the best of our ability. And there were so many, especially in the development plan, there were so many bits and pieces that the community had wanted, the community garden being one of them. So we worked our way through the plan as much as we could, and then I suppose when we did manage to get through as much of the plan as we could, it was time to sit down again and meet with the community again and try and find out exactly what do they want, because we find that the needs will always change, and it's very important for us that we need to change, that we must be always willing to try something new. And we started then, we decided that we would do a needs assessment in conjunction with the primary care team. The idea of the needs assessment was to find out not only what we were doing at community level and our impact on the community, it was also what we were doing with regards to health and well-being and with regards to family life. Was there anything that we could do with regards to family life? That document again was launched in 2017, and out of that in order to get to find out the needs of the community, we met with 21 focus groups throughout the parish, and that was really from mothers with newborn babies, primary school children, secondary school children, then the youth between 15 and 24, and then obviously parents, men and women, and in the end up then, I suppose we had 2 open forums to make sure that we just didn't miss anybody, and the elderly, of course. So again, a very valuable document. Out of that document came needs that were across a whole age range of people. The elderly, one of the biggest problems they had was transport, how to get about. We worked with SIT, and they have now provided a local link bus that runs through Dore twice a day, and they also have a demand responsive, which means that we in turn will the elderly will call us, and we coordinate then what day the bus will go and pick them up and whatever appointments they need to attend. And the other big project that came out of it really was that we needed a youth drop-in centre, and with other committees in the parish and the other organisations and state bodies. We have now got the green light for a purpose-built, state-of-the-art drop-in centre, which is to be built on the estate in Dore. We're at the very early stages of this, but again, it's, I think, maybe one of the most important things is that we have to work with other organisations. It is fine to build a centre like this, and although we provide services for the 3 parishes, but it is so nice that that we're able to work with other organisations to work on projects that is not to do with the centre, that it's for the wider community. And I must say we do that, well, we do it pretty well, I think. So some of the challenges that I suppose in the wider community would be immigration. We have a whole age range of children, of youth gone, from 18 to their late 20s. That whole generation, they are everywhere around the world. I had a son myself that was in Australia for 6 years, and it so happened that he did his course in LYIT in Letterkenny, and there was 9 in the class, and 8 of those 9 ended up in Australia. And I think immigration is huge for us here, and especially since the downturn in the economy since 2008. Everybody talks about the Celtic Tiger. I personally think the Celtic Tiger really just put its paw into Donegal, and but we definitely felt when there was a downturn in the economy, so many of the factories closed in the industrial estate. Unemployment is very high here in Dore and the surrounding areas, and at this stage we live in a very disadvantaged community. I suppose with regards to the centre, the challenges that we face here is that when you create a monster, you have to feed it. And we open at 8 o'clock every morning, 5 days a week, and we close at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at the latest every night. Then we're open Saturdays, every Saturday, and most Sundays. It depends whatever is going on. So one of the biggest challenges we have is staffing. Staffing is huge. We were very fortunate when we went into the second phase that we managed to get on the community services programme. So they contribute towards the wage of a manager and 3 full-time FTEs. Two of those are full-time positions. The manager, obviously, myself, I'm full-time, and then we broke the last FTE into 2 part-time positions. We do have people on schemes, CE2s, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to cover that amount of hours. Anybody that is on a scheme is just part-time. And I think one of the biggest challenges we have is trying to build on our services. We continuously try to add more services in, not just here in the centre. We have a care and repair scheme where we have 2 men out that do work for the elderly through the parish. We run Pobalarara, which is the community alert, where we install alarms for the elderly. We run a text alert, We have a group of first responders and work with other people through the parish with regards to that. We also run a cancer support group from the centre here, where we coordinate the flights for cancer patients and their loved ones to Dublin. And that's just a part of the cancer support group, because we have pamper days, we have information evenings, and we provide free counselling, and we just provide time to sit with people and talk to them and try and alleviate some of the worries they have around maybe losing their job because of cancer, or maybe their child is sick, or so some of that is tough work, and the challenges around that is that you're always trying to find the time to give people, the community out there, to give them the best that we can give them, and to allow them to be part of our community here in Untitled. It is. I think we are the heart of the community. It shows it on a daily basis when you come in here. It's always busy. It's not difficult to run. As I said, we have so many people that help us, because we have ensured that they have that feeling when they come in here. But I think, in order to grow and to allow the business to grow, you must also be sure that you have the people to do that. As a manager, I have to always look out for the rest of the staff and make sure that they're upskilled to the best of their ability, and also that I have to be very mindful that they're not pushed too much, and that they have time to do the work that they have to do as well, and that they're not running around trying to fill another 3 jobs as they're doing their daily work. So in order to do that, we're in the process now of writing our next plan. And this plan is it's based on the changing needs of the community. There are things within the centre, rooms within the centre, that we need to change, and we need to make it more accessible for the new projects that are coming up within the centre here. We're also planning to extend. We have phase 3 in mind. So we're also trying to figure out which is the best way to extend, whether we go up, to the right, to the left. I'm not really sure. And the biggest, the biggest challenge is that we're applying again to the Community Services program to employ an additional 4 FTEs. And for us, I think, that is the basis of the third plan, to allow us to grow and to provide the services that I suppose that we need to make this, or continue to make this project sustainable. So I suppose anything Padraig at this point is a sustainable project, with everything that we run in the centre, it brings in income from all of the courses, the classes, everything we provide, that makes this project sustainable. We haven't fundraised for quite a bit. We do fundraising for the cancer flights. We do fundraise for that. We had a fundraiser there the Cube, in which we raised €16,000. So the reason we need that is that when a cancer patient uses our service, they pay €30, and then we draw down €60 from the HSE, and then we offer the same to a loved one or a companion that's travelling with the cancer patient. So we pay a portion of their flight. We're affiliated to the Irish Cancer Society, so between us we provide free counselling, and then of course the pamper days, that they are all free for cancer patients and their carers as well. So we fundraise for that aspect of or that service that we provide here. But outside of that, we haven't done any fundraising for quite a while, because with the amount of services that we run, we can manage quite well. I think just today before you came, I was out visiting all the other businesses through the parish here in Dore, delivering boxes. We commenced this week the 50-50 draw. And the idea of the 50-50 draw is to fundraise to provide a football pitch between ourselves and the school, which is adjacent here to the centre. So that is our fundraising for the moment, until we get this pitch up and running. I think depending on how we go with phase 3, there will be more fundraising down the line. What we will do, I'm not entirely sure. But we work with a lot of groups throughout the parish. We're involved in so many other groups. We're involved in the community festival called SALT. So we work with a lot of other people. We are a voluntary committee, and we run this festival for the youth. Last year was the first year, and it was a roaring success, absolutely fabulous. We also work with other organisations in the parish with regards to the youth centre, the proposed youth centre. We also work as part of the Chamber of Commerce, which whatever needs done in the parish, we're very much involved in everything that, if it's not that we're working on providing something within the parish, we're actually working together to try and keep something in the parish. We had very much the focus this past couple of months has been on the closure of the post offices in the area. We had managed to save Bunbeg post office before, but on this occasion, unfortunately, second time around, it closed. I suppose that is mainly a lot of what we would do with other organisations, is try to hold on to anything at all that we have in the parish, because we have been hit so badly in recent years. I think one of the most important things that I would say to anybody out there thinking of a project like this, I think if you believe in yourself for a start, you know, that you can do this along with the rest of the committee. I think that everybody has it in them to do something like this. You know, you just need to find out. I think once you establish a need, that is your first step. If you establish a need, I think it's so important to make the community feel that they are part of whatever you're doing. And you will always find that if you build the first block, and you have the community behind you, they will build the rest for you. I think that's one of the most important things.